There was a time in my life, thought I had to do it all by myself. I didn't know the grace of God was sufficient, didn't know the love of God was at hand. Now I can say, if you are discouraged, struggling just to make it through another day, you've got to let it go, let it all go. And this is what you have to say. Good morning, CSL. It's a pleasure to be here with you once again. Glad you can join us. We're in the building, but you are home, but we still feel your love. And I would like to introduce to you your music team. We have Mr. Mark Hayes, Mr. Paul Roberts, Mr. Doug Allwater, Mr. Ben Turbert, and I am your music director, Lee Langston. We're gonna go ahead and get this thing going. I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God.
The Center for Spiritual Living is a spiritual community that honors all religions and all faiths because no person, group, or religion has exclusive rights to the truth. We know there's no wrong way to worship or recognize the divine, whether it's in a church, a synagogue, a temple, a mosque, an ashram, or immersed in nature. So we celebrate the diversity in religious practices with our ceremony today, the Flames of Faith. The candle is lit for the Tao to honor the universal path of harmony, the middle way. The candle is lit for the shamanic traditions, honoring the belief and practices of all indigenous and tribal peoples. The candle is lit for Hinduism to honor the spiritual path of devotion and the variety of religious icons and deities. The candle is lit for Judaism to honor the path of sacred law. The candle is lit for Buddhism to honor the Four Noble Truths and the way of compassion. The candle is lit for Christianity to honor the Christ consciousness that lives in all of us. The candle is lit for Islam to honor the path of peaceful submission to the will of God. The candle is lit for the universal religion of Baha'i to honor the path of unity. The candle is lit for our own faith, New Thought, to honor the metaphysical path and the practice of universal spiritual principles. And I'd like to include a candle today for the religions of the African diaspora. And this last candle is lit for peace and for the peaceful acceptance of all faiths and spiritual practices worldwide.
Sometimes it feels like everything is passing me by. Every now and then feels like my ship is gonna sail away. But I've gotta be strong, gotta hold on. It won't be too long. Now the tide is coming in. I see the waves flowing out there on the ocean. I know my ship is coming in, just past the horizon and right where the sky ends. 'Cause out there on the ocean, I know my ship is coming in. Now don't leave me hanging. I've been waiting too long for this moment. My ship has finally come. Now I would travel to the 7 seas. I would ever go wherever the wind blows me. I'd do anything to find my destiny. It's like fighting with gravity, and it's bringing me down. Oh, if this world is really round, then tell me how. It's just a moment for you to come around. Oh, now the tide is coming in. I see the waves flowing out there on the ocean. I know my ship is coming in, just past the horizon and right where the sky ends. 'Cause out there on the ocean, I know my ship is coming in. Don't leave me hanging. I've been waiting too long for this moment. My ship has finally come. Finally you've come around there. Finally you've come around there. Finally you've come around. Now the tide is coming in. I see the waves flowing out there on the ocean. I know my ship is coming in, just past the horizon and right where the sky ends. 'Cause out there on the ocean, I know my ship is coming in. Now don't leave me hanging. I've been waiting too long for this moment. My ship has finally come. Oh, finally you come around, yeah. Finally you've come around, oh. Because you never know where life is gonna take you and you can't change where you've been. But today, I have the opportunity to choose. Here I am here looking at 40 and I got so much to say. Gotta get this off of my chest, I gotta let it go today. I was always too concerned about what everybody would think. But I can't live for everybody, I gotta live my life for me, yeah. Today, picture fork in the road of my life. Ain't nothing gonna happen unless I decide, and I choose to be the best that I can be. I choose to be authentic in everything I do. My past don't dictate who I am. I choose. I done been so many things I thought that I would never make it through. Filled up with shame from the top of my head to the toes of my shoes. I have put myself in so many chaotic circumstances. By the grace of God, I was given so many second chances. But today I decided to let it all go now. I'm dropping off these bags, I'm making room for my joy. I choose to be the best that I can be. I choose to be authentic in everything I do. My past don't dictate who I am. Said I choose. Listen. Because you never know how life is gonna take you and you don't get where you've been. But today, I have the opportunity to choose. Release the guilt about why life happens the way it does, cause life is gonna do what it do. And every day, I have the opportunity to choose. Listen, from this day forward, I'm gonna be exactly who I am. I don't need to change the way I live just to be a man. I even had a talk today with my mom and I told her that I'm grown. From this day, every decision I make is gonna be my own. And I choose to be the best that I can be. I choose to be courageous in everything I do. My past don't dictate who I am. Said I choose, hey, now I choose to be the best that I can be. I choose to be authentic in everything I do. My past don't dictate who I am. I choose.
Good morning, CSL. I love that song. Thank you, guys. My name is Debbie Gaunt, and I'm here this morning to welcome you to today's service. We are so glad that you have found us on Zoom, whether you're watching us on the podcast or you are watching us on Facebook Live. However you found us, we are so grateful and so happy that you have joined us. Just to know that you are all out there just warms my heart. And I am thrilled, and it's going to be a great service today. So let's start by saying who we are in our intention statement. We are a diverse and inclusive spiritual community expressing God as love.
Good morning. Today is the last day of Black History Month, and so it is bittersweet, but tomorrow is both my birthday, and the start of Women's History Month, so I am completely restored. I had the great fortune of growing up at Linwood United Church. It was where I first celebrated Kwanzaa, was baptized, first spoke in a pulpit, which I didn't realize was a big deal until I went to visit my grandmother's Southern Baptist church, where I first saw gay couples be married and where I watched the first person I knew and loved, Garen Reggie Leach, die of AIDS. I also learned that it was unique to grow up in a church that was both Methodist and Presbyterian. I was a relentless learner, always asking tough questions to adults, always loved and celebrated in a multicultural, multi-class church right here in the heart of Kansas City. When I was about 10 years old, we had the opportunity to recommit to church. I wasn't sure why we recommitted because we were always there, but nonetheless, my mother, being the consistent person she was, took up the challenge. We were asked to give one word to describe how we felt when we heard the name Jesus. I anxiously raised my hand and was called upon. My mother looked both surprised and excited. Others shouted, merciful, kind, all-knowing. I lost my ear. Oh, is it behind me? See, that's what you get for talking bad about Jesus. I couldn't resist. Merciful, kind, all-knowing, forgiving. And when my turn came, I shouted, villain. I was asked, why was that my response? And I said, well, why would Jesus make the whole wide world for all of us, only for us to burn in hell if we did something bad? That is a villain. My mother leaned over and whispered, Tasha, next time, ask me first. Outside of overtaking the Sunday school classes with my older relatives and friends, Linwood was where I would escape with my cousins during service to walk the runway in the basement restroom that had a wall of mirrors. My sister would sing Whitney Houston and into our brushes while we had to do backup until we heard the benediction, which we would run up and fully participate. That was where my sister and I were married and where my father, uncle, and cousins had their funeral. That was even where my innocence was taken. As a visitor to the church, age 30, told me he was attending in hopes he could marry me when I was only 12 years old. This was where many in my church turned against my sister when she was molested by a visiting minister from a neighboring church. This was where I saw that strong girl, tough as nails, build up a wall around her. At 15, like most people in any church, I grew restless with the mundane, and I just didn't believe the Bible as an absolute truth. I also felt it was whitewashed because while we were a multicultural expression, it was really very white. I also began to wonder and ask more questions to my mother. I told her I thought that God was bigger than the Bible, and I just didn't believe. I told her that if God knew everything, then surely he knew I was fronting. And while I was at it, I shared that there was no way that if God was, in fact, a gender, it would be a man. I was pro-choice, feminist, a student of the works of Malcolm X, Bell Hooks, and Alice Walker. I told my mother I wanted to search, that I wanted to leave, and surprisingly, she allowed it. Now, if you know anything about African American culture, you know that church is the cornerstone to the community. It is literally what has kept us alive when everything around us seemed to crumble in this country, both the church and the blues. My mother looked me in the eye with both the church and the blues and said, "The one thing about faith is that when you walk away and then return, you come back stronger." I held those words tightly and jumped headfirst into my journey of freedom. As stated by the Centers for Spiritual Living, the spiritual journey transcends any one path, religion, or tradition. There is one mountain with many paths, one tree with many branches, one river with many wells. So I want to share some of my other branches with you. Reggae music was everything I loved. I would dissect the lyrics, and what I realized is that it sounded a lot like church music. Woke up this morning, smiled with the rising sun. 3 little birds sit by my doorstep. One love, one heart. Let's get together and it'll be all right. Give thanks and praise to the Lord and it will feel all right. What was also tantalizing was that you could move your body freely as you enjoyed reggae, which we didn't do at Linwood, and that hips were free to whine and roll. Reggae music was also accompanied by marijuana. And as an adventurous teenager, I looked with great interest as others around me smoked openly in parks. I was no stranger to marijuana. My father was quite the connoisseur. But in the way that which Rastafarians used it seemed a little different, kind of like a sacred, symbolized freedom. The men of reggae and Rastafarianism were also so sexy that I couldn't help but think this was a far cry from my cousins at church and the soft-spoken older white male preachers. I buried myself in studying Rastafarianism, learning of the resistance and resilience of the Maroon people, and I took on that style, dress, eating habits of the Rastas for 15 years, never really claiming it as my religion. Like with the church before, Rastafarianism wasn't a great place for a young girl in search of greater spiritual wisdom. There were more men than women in the practice, and it left me vulnerable. I saw the warnings after my sister shared what did and didn't happen to her, and I separated myself from the teaching, but I kept the healthy habits, love of the sunshine and outdoors, the beauty of dance, barefoot, and concerts, which continued on my journey. I was so intrigued by the life of Malcolm X and the fact that Alex Haley, who wrote Roots, had written the book, that I read the autobiography of Malcolm X 3 times in one summer. I saw the Muslim community from afar at Kwanzaa, and I was touched by their modesty, polite way of speaking, and the protection of women and children. Because I was a serious student, I was deeply attracted to Islam, and more so the Nation of Islam, because of their newspapers and great presence, and culturally, it had more African American members. I saw firsthand how the Nation changed some of my classmates and their families. I was interested, but only to flirt with it. I attended meetings and noticed that while violence to women wasn't accepted, women did have a clear place, and it was underneath the power and authority of men. Still, when I left KC to attend school at Jackson State University, I met an amazing graduate student who grew up Pentecostal, converted to Islam, and had a Rastafarian mother. We talked for hours about my inability to reconcile the sexism in all the teachings and how I just didn't want to wear a hijab daily. For me, my spirituality had to be something I could live with every day, not just when I wanted to behave, because we all know that's pretty rare. What was most important to me was that I had to feel free. Our conversations led to friendship, dating, marriage, and 2 children. Our greatest time together for me was representing all the different religious beliefs in our home and the tie it had to Africa. Choosing a spiritual path can be a tricky one, but along the way of my journey, I learned a little about so much and started to incorporate pieces of what I learned into me. When I learned that both Christianity and Islam had invaded Africa and used the religions for dominance, colonization, and oppression, that changed what I respected about them. I began to study traditional African religions and learned about the many powerful women who had gifts of seeing and knowing. After a series of dreams, journal writings, and more, my intuitive path was in full motion. After the experience of giving birth, I could not shut off the visions, clarity, and conversations I heard that were not spoken. Motherhood enhanced my spiritual gifts. I started to put the pieces together that I came from a long line of intuitive women on both sides of my family, and that because I had always been surrounded by intuition, I did not realize it was a gift. I thought that getting in trouble for telling the truth was just a part of being a smart aleck, which was not looked upon favorably, at least not all the time. Sometimes, but just not every time. Then there was this ever-looming part of my journey that seemed to also exclude the power of spirituality of sexual practices. I searched and searched, only to find so many rules around sex that made it feel not sacred at all. Self-practices seemed to be shunned everywhere, and again, women were to show up in ways that only suited men, and I had great problems with that, since I had a couple of boyfriends and wasn't interested in answering to any of them, sexually or otherwise. This was what my journey to freedom has done for me and what I've had to give myself permission to do. Allowing myself to love gospel music, even though I am not a Christian. Allowing myself meditation, even if I don't practice daily. Allowing myself to use my intuition for the greater good instead of darkness. Allowing myself 5 prayers a day, even though I am not a Muslim. Allowing myself to detach when needed, even though I am not a Buddhist. Allowing myself to be in the flesh as praise, to enjoy my human body. Allowing myself sexual freedom and to believe that the sacred and secular are one within me. I allow myself to have friends who are newborns to elders. I allow myself to read and study the wisdom from all spiritual truths. I allow myself a sacred space to visually show my spirit in my home. I allow myself imperfection and joy simultaneously. I allow. What I have found on my journey to freedom is that I had to really give myself permission to release that which didn't serve me. And it's taught me how to love others more and how to forgive myself more often. I have permission to name something I experience as divine without diminishing its impact as not religious. And so here I am, standing on this stage as a practitioner of the science of mind, not as a practitioner. New thought. This teaching came at a divine time in my life where I was faced with the intersection of my sister's untimely death and my divorce. There were times I would just come and weep, and Reverend Jeree Newsom would sit with me. I knew that in predominantly white churches, full experiences of grief or praise, which are often bastardized in our media of Black women, were not the norm. But each week I found myself here. 15 years in this teaching has taught me what I know the most. No truth is absolute, and each teaching deserves a critical eye. Now, this teaching, thought at one time to be most progressive and liberal, is now forced to deal with how the unavoidable patriarchy and racism creeps into who we are as a teaching, institution, and community. While we have much to celebrate here, I charge us with taking a new path in our own journey to freedom. This teaching has been the institutional support to show my children and my community that freedom of choice is not crazy, that we get to stand in our truth in this community and invite others in to do the exact same. We have done some amazing work to connect and host so many communities, but there is so much more work to do. I challenge us to be what our intention statement says, and that we submerge ourselves in the anti-racism project led by my sisters, Virginia and Jessica. Less than 10% of our members have signed up for this project, and that does not show spirit in action. I challenge us to consider our legacy. Who will fill these chairs 20 years from now in this very room? Who, homegrown, can lead on our leadership council as a spiritual community or on our music team? We are no longer the secret on 39th Street. The world is now ripe for just this teaching, and we must get ready to meet the charge. Women of CSL, do not wait on others to give you permission to try something you've never done before in this community. Be brave, be powerful, and use your voice. The only reason it hasn't been done is because you haven't done it. Men, share your privilege, knowledge, and resources to help others navigate a system that was designed for your success and has worked for you. Since we believe and know in this teaching that there is no lack in the universe, you do not need to fear that sharing will deplete you. Young people, we need your energy, your suggestions, ideas, your strong arms and legs, your intelligence of how to make the earth smaller and more accessible through social media and other forms of technology. We need you to know we need you in the world, and we need you right here at Center for Spiritual Living, Kansas City. Elders, as my grandmother, age 99, always tells me, baby, you have something to give, something to learn, something to share, as long as you have breath in your body. Our journey to freedom does not have to be a straight line. We can check out and check back in. We can evolve, return to the old, reimagine our trauma, and find the good of our personal lives to reclaim our freedom and power. We get to end the vicious cycles of unhappiness, judgment, and despair. We get to fall apart only to rebuild. Do not throw out the baby and the bathwater. Keep your backpack of spiritual tools from all of the memories that you've had, each sacred and spiritual, as you journey with loving kindness, because you never know who you will meet along the way. Remember, and I quote, every religion and spiritual path is in some way connected to that single river, and every person is connected to the river. Our connection to God is our connection to one another. Our journey to freedom cannot be practiced in isolation or a vacuum. Everything and everyone is your teacher. CSL, be both the student and the teacher, all of your journey on Mother Earth. And don't forget to honor her with each step you take. So, thank you. We are going to prepare for meditation. So, for those of you at home, whether you're snuggled still warmly under your sheets or next to your partners, your children, your pets, or all in your own sacred private space, I want you to just sit comfortable, whether your feet are on the floor. I want you to focus on your feet and imagine the ground beneath you. Imagine yourself as a tree and root yourself past your hardwood floors, carpet, concrete. And with me, I'd like for you to take 3 relaxing breaths, whether through your nose or your mouth, whichever is most comfortable. Imagine yourself in your mind's eye as a tree. You can be anywhere, by the water, in a field, around other trees. You even get to be whatever tree you wish. Imagine the weather you love, the sun, a cloudy day, light rain on your leaves, gentle wind. Just be present as a tree. There is nature around you, and everything is small and large. Quiet and loud comes to you, the tree, bringing messages of freedom. What do you want to allow yourself to be free to do? What do you want to allow yourself to be free from? Sit in the silence with those 2 questions. What do you want to allow yourself to be free to do? What do you want to allow yourself to be free from? As you return, thank the animals, the bugs, the birds, the sun, the wind, the rain, for bringing you messages of freedom. Bless and release them now, knowing you can return here at another time. Wiggle your toes and fingers. Feel your trunk turn back into your human self. And take 3 deep breaths with your mouth and your nose and open your eyes. You are free to be. Namaste.
You are in my soul. God is my inspiration. With you in my heart, I am never alone. We are one. There is no separation. When I rest in you, I'm home.
Thank you, Natasha, for that wonderful, inspiring lesson, message to us, and that amazing meditation. I guess I still was lost in it for a moment. If you find that you are in need of someone to talk to run ideas by, share thoughts, share challenges, just remember that here at CSL, we have a group of very wonderful friends of ours who are our CSL prayer practitioners. They are here for you and willing to help you through anything and everything that you may need. You can reach out to them by going to the website cslkc.org/prayer. Fill out an online prayer request card and they will pray with you and for you. You can also reach out through the 24-hour prayer line. It is available 365 days a year. Every single day, there's a new prayer. Also, you can reach out to them through the Zoom meetings that are here and available after the service. The link for that to sign up is on the homepage of our website. Go there, get the link, click on it, and you'll just follow the directions. You'll be all set up. However you reach out to them, they are grateful and here and willing and ready for you. We appreciate all that you do here in this community and for CSL through your giving. Giving can be done through any one of the apps that are available, by sending a check through the mail. However you choose to give of your time, talent, and treasure, it is truly appreciated and much needed. To all of you, I say, namaste.
I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed.
So I want to thank everybody for joining us this morning, however you joined us, whether it was on Facebook or Zoom or YouTube or on the podcast on our website. We truly appreciate knowing that you're out there, that you're connecting with us, and it's our joy to come in on Thursday evenings and record this. I want to thank Lee and all of you guys back here for the great music. Thank you, Jill Mesmer, for recording. Thank you, Debbie, for being our platform presider. Thanks, Jessica, for being our practitioner. Matthew Marcus for doing the sound, and Kathy Boffman for running the media. And a big special thanks to our speaker, Natasha Ria Elskari. Thank you so much for a creative, inspiring, insightful message. We appreciate it very much. I know one of the comments I get, probably more than anything else from this community, is how much you all appreciate different voices up here. that it's more than just one person or two people who share their wisdom and their experience and what they've learned in this teaching. So it's my great pleasure to just sit and listen and learn from them as they speak. So thank you for giving all of us a lot to think about and to consider and to aspire to. So let's say our closing affirmation, the statement that we say every week to say how we believe God sees each and every one of us. So who are you? I am a perfect expression of God, entitled to a life of love and joy. Have a great week.